friends. Welcome into the Eric Zane Show podcast. I describe it as the daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures. From right here in the Impact Power Sports Studio. Impact Power Sports online at impactpowersportsmi.com. That's where you can get a Yamaha golf cart. Who wouldn't want a Yamaha golf cart? How about an ATV side-by-side? I saw a guy driving a side-by-side down the street, like busy street, like not a side street. I'm like, is that cool? I don't know. How about a motorcycle, ATV, UTV, e-bike, go-kart? They have it all at Impact Power Sports. Find them online at impactpowersportsmi.com. I'm getting this fat wad down here under my chin, and I don't know if it's either cancer or no matter what I do, I am going to be like, God, who was that actor that played in that movie called I'm the Whale, or I'm a Whale, or I'm Fat, and everybody loved it? Brendan Fraser. Let's start. The thing is, I've been eating like appropriately. I'm actually losing weight still. But I think that, you get like these biomarkers hitting, and I'm still going through this phase. And I'm becoming a lot more saggy and just a facial disaster. I'm going to have what's known as a nussie here. Whenever you see Trump, he's got his tie on, and his neck looks like this. That's called a nussie, which is a great term. I mean, you know exactly what that means when you hear it. Oh, look at his nussie. Yeah, I am getting a nussie. Chris says, how was running yesterday? I'll get to that momentarily. We have had a big fraud Wednesday last night, and boy, did it finish with a flourish. At the end of the show, we do a little thing called Around the Room, and basically it's, do you have anything you're excited about or you want to just throw out there that we can talk about? And by the way, before I continue that, it was really late today, and I was ready to go at about 10:05. And then I noticed that everything on my computer was slow, spinning wheel of death, and a lot of nonsense. I'm not even that confident that this will go off normally today. We touched on a couple of topics during my final word segment. Luke busted out a story about some old lady in Ireland who has been saying for years that there is a portion of some area and some community outside of what was a home for unwed mothers, where these mothers would be there with their kids, and then the kids would die, and they'd throw them in a septic tank. I'm not kidding you. And she did a lot of groundwork and discovered that, without digging, that there is 800 dead babies in a septic tank. What? Somebody made the point, leave it to the Catholics to cover this shit up because it was run by a bunch of Catholic nuns. It's a catastrophe. So they are now exhuming. They're like, she's right. They figured it out that she's actually right. And so all along she's been like, see, I told you, assholes. And there are actually people in the community who are mad at her because in their eyes, she brought the town that this happened in like a bad name. What the fuck are you talking about? A bunch of animals. You sick fucks. And so there's a lot of backpedaling and admitting guilt, and the church is like, oh, it's just horrible. We must gain your trust back. And, Catholics are pretty forgiving. If you, like, especially when I grew up, like, if there's a dad who takes his kid to church and he turns his back on the kid for a minute, or he's an altar boy, and then, mass ends, and then the kid says, hey, Dad, my asshole is the size of a Folgers can opening. I was molested. Dad is going to say, really, what happened? And then the kid's going to say, well, Father Ryan O'Malley, hypothetical name, and then Father Ryan O'Malley and Father O'Shea and Father McGivney, they did triple penetration on my butt just before Mass. And then, like, Dad will go to the priest and say, hey, did you guys TP my son? And they're going to go, well, yeah, we did. Well, I'm going to tell your boss. So then he tells the cardinal or the bishop, and then the bishop would just yank him out of the church and send him to another church where then it would all start over again. That was like that big scandal. So it stands to reason that if any, the church had more power than like any government. Everybody knows that. Not so much now. Finally, people have gotten wiser, and they're saying no to organized religion more and more. You're seeing that it's kind of like how you cut the cord with your cable, because you just go with your internet service and watch your TV. People are cutting the cord from organized religion. They can say, I can save money and still get a great experience if I just treat people with respect and love my fellow man and pray to baby Jesus and help out at local charities, and it doesn't cost me as much. Because everybody knows that when you donate $1 to a church, the church says to you, well, you are helping charities, which this money goes to charity. And it does, but a percentage, like 1/100th of that dollar goes to charity. And then 99% of that money is pocketed by whatever church. And then the next thing you know, they're breaking ground on a new like kids zone. It says KIDZ ZONE with all sorts of rad colors. And then they build a brand new. They put a Starbucks inside of the church. And then they hire a AV company, audio video, and they install the same style of sound and video that that you might find at an NBA game. Stadium style seating, stage, millions of dollars in instruments. You got a whole tech team there. You got people up in the rafters with slack lines and whatever so that they're safe. You got to have safety. Union work, union hired help. Stage hands are there to make sure that the show goes off for the rock band that will be appearing when they worship. And all of these really stupid people go there. And they give 99 cents out of every dollar to them so that they can keep building on. It's like the Winchester House in California. They just keep building bigger and mega church. Huge, gigantic. There's a whole room for rape. Like you can actually go, hey, I'm going to drop off my kids and then I'll see my kids in the rape room. I'm not making this up. This has happened in organized religion. You think what I'm saying is pretty right, right on. Maureen says our Lansing diocese is doing a fund drive right now, and we got a letter from the bishop suggesting we pledge 15 grand over 5 years. That's actually not that bad. Usually they ask for that like a month. So there you go. I got onto that topic. I kind of just stumbled onto it because that's kind of what we talked about on Big Fraud Wednesday to wrap up the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. It was so dark. It was great. I loved it. And then we talked about what is the name of that chick? Adriana something or other. Rebecca sent me, Rebecca sent me some material about this that I'm going to discuss with you. This might be the most, if you think that 800 dead babies is bad, and by the way, it's going to take 2 years to exhume those babies, and then they're going to continue to investigate, see if there's a crime. It's like, how can there not be a crime? But the Adriana Smith story makes dead babies look like a picnic. But before I get to that, Alan, who is one of my moles, who tipped me off about Greg going after your old pal EZ, I guess in yesterday's show, he fired one off towards his ex-wife. Footnote, with that information, that's not what I want. Shit. With that information coming out, I went ahead and got on Facebook, and I fired off a friend request. Right here. And I'm waiting patiently. I think over the years I unfriended, probably because of me getting fired. But I always liked Greg's wife. I sent her a friend request, and I always slow down when I say that because I always fuck it up when I speak too fast. Because of I sent the friend request because I want her to hear this, and I am going to send it to her. Well, I can't say, I don't want to just blast it in via a message because I want to keep it above board. I want her to actually accept the friend request, and then I'll tell her my intentions. And my intentions are, hey, I hate your husband, your ex-husband. I don't know how you feel about him. But I'll tell you this. It's one thing when he attacks me. I mean, I attack him, so it stands to reason that he might, in his own little cute way, let me have it from time to time, which, as you know, I adore. I have no problem with that. I encourage it, and I capitalize on it every single time. He is completely outgunned and has no real retort. It's like me with the iron. I'm Israel, the Iron Dome, and he's Iran. It's that one-sided. But I've heard him for years now take pot shots at Amanda. Now, Amanda doesn't have a podcast. Amanda probably just wants to enjoy her life. And nothing is clear as to why that crew broke up. why those two broke up. But Greg continues to let her have it on a regular basis. In fact, I heard from, there was a sweet lady in Amarillo, Texas, who reached out to me, who's also a friend of Nikki, who joined us on the Ben and Eric show yesterday. And that was a big problem for her. She wrote, I hate it when he does. That's why, one of the reasons why I quit the show was because of the attacks on Amanda. So Alan M. in Wisconsin, who tipped me off about Greg letting me have it over last week's, whatever the fuck or yesterday, whatever the fuck he said yesterday, from that same show, Greg let her have it. So why don't we check this out right now? Hear what Greg had to say about his ex-wife who cannot defend herself.
I know you do.
Nope.
And he's doing that to be sexy.
I mean, I'm sure his wife loves it.
Are you?
So I'm not sure who they're talking about there.
I bet she does. She's so supportive.
Okay.
There's a difference between being supportive and loving it.
Okay, they're not talking about Amanda at that point. They're talking about, I don't know if it's a fictitious scenario or in real life, but it's definitely not Amanda. But Greg will take it there.
I know you do.
Nope.
And he's doing that to be sexy.
I mean, I'm sure his wife loves it.
Are you?
I bet she does. She's so supportive.
There's a difference between being supportive and loving it.
I've supported lots of things I could have cared more for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, buddy.
There's a big difference.
You
Okay, now he's, yeah, I can relate to that. So here it comes.
want to see my salt lamps?
Yeah.
Have to get them from my other house.
Yes.
1-800-947.
Okay, so you hear them at the end going, So that's another thing. That's what always pissed me off about Greg when he would let me have it. So being funny, but I don't know how she feels about that. So my hope is that, and I'll tell her this. I'll tell her that, look, I'm reaching out to you. Full disclosure, I don't like your ex-husband. I also don't like what he says about you. And if I can play this for you, if this pisses you off, and if you ever want to respond, I have made a living doing this. This is textbook. I've done this many times in the past. And it seems to be, more often than not, the other side does want to talk. I mean, take a look at it. I've spent the last year talking with Kelly's ex until he got the yips and told me he cannot participate in talking with me anymore. I'm not sure what happened with that one. Of course, Hurricane Ashley. You have Rachel. Who else? Coleman. The other. You always have to hear from the other side. There may be more. Who else did I? That might be it. But I'm not above this. I will seek this out, and I did actually, because I responded to Alan. I said, thank you for this. I am reaching out to his ex. I just sent her a friend request. If I tip her off, she may get pissed enough to want to strike back, and I am happy to facilitate. I'll make it clear. I'm not reaching out to rekindle, hey, how are you? I miss you. No. I'm going to give you the news that your ex-husband is embarrassing you on a nationally syndicated radio show and has been for years. 4 years. And no one's heard from you. Now, you probably just want to mind your own business, and I certainly would respect that. But if she accepts my friend request, there I go again, I'm going to ask her that. Because I think it would be fantastic to have another ex to talk to. Now, to be clear here, I would not allow anybody to come on here and slander anyone. But just for the sake of at least speaking with her, and maybe she won't want me to talk about it publicly, and I would respect that too. But just Greg knowing that I reached out to her about this, that's going to make his butthole pucker, perhaps. Maybe it won't. Maybe he's got a great relationship with her, and she's like, oh, ha, ha, I don't mind if you embarrass me and rub my nose in shit and say humiliating things about me and refer to my home as your home. What a cock. What a fucking cunt. Greg is a cunty cunt. Ben Glaze says, don't forget about the woman from New Jersey. Oh, my God, I love her so much. Gina Rizzolo. Still friends to this day. Chris says Rachel. Yeah, she's still friends. I mentioned her. Yeah, he is an asshole. And as he gets further away from these things, he thinks he's insulated in a way to say those things about his ex. You notice Hot Wings has never once, ever said anything disparaging about his ex. Not once. And say what you will about him, and I do, he still sucks, but at least he's consistent when it comes to this type of thing. He lives to fight another day. Greg's a fucking asshole, okay? Tyler says EZ's about to get another message from John Doe on Facebook saying, stop talking to Amanda. Interestingly, a lot of the times Greg has said something on the air or something has happened on that show has led to this. Like when he dragged Coleman and Coleman's mother, I mean, it was like ridiculous. Greg was just killing those two. That's how I got a hold of Coleman's mother. Pause in the action as we welcome in Ned, who is here. A little brief history on Ned. It says, Ned on air, morning easy. It's good old penis ears. Ned, my question for you is, are you still in the biz? It says not on Ned on air. I think I remember you in Iowa for a time or two. But Ned was working at GRD, and I'll continue what I was talking about in a second, but I want to get to this. Ned was on the air or with us at GRD. He was an off-air staff member, and he was the guy who had the gauges in his ear. And I said that his ears looked like a couple of dicks or something like that when the gauges were not in there. So I called him Dick Ears. That was his name, Dick Ears. It was fucking fantastic. Alan says, Metalhead Ned. Hell yeah. So look, Ned, Alan knows you. What's going on in your world? Update us. What radio station, and can we hear you? Because he was just getting his chops when he worked with me. And little fun fact, in February of 2016, when I got shit canned, Ned set up and managed my YouTube channel, which I did not have the ability to do that then. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. He fucking did it and did an out. He built the thing, put up the pictures. They're still there to this day. It's still set up in the same way now as it was then. So I was very, very thankful for his assistance. And it's good to catch up. I'm glad that you are here. I'm still here slogging away. Outstanding. Yeah, I need the name of the radio station so that I can tip people off as to how to listen to you. And when you're on the air, all that shit. Ned ended up, because I had said to him, I go, Ned, it's going to look rough when you're old. And he went ahead and had a procedure done, a reconstruction on those ears so that they don't look like cocks. Like his ears so look like dicks that he could like have sex. He had 3 dicks, essentially. Like chicks could straddle his ears because he had a giant cock on each ear. Look, Ned, I know you've got a whole stable of friends in Iowa. You got to tip these folks off about this discussion so that they can hear this. This is history of you that they don't know. Tyler says, are we talking BBCs or little chodes? They were little micrococks. Ned says, 2 wonderful daughters. Don't let them hear this. Married for 13 years and way too many tattoos. Rock 108 is the radio station. And what town? Is it Cedar Rapids? Chris K checks in. He says, hey, Ned, do you remember the Bad Bowlers League? Those were good times. Ben Glaze is here. He knows Ned. Ben Glaze, you would know as Ben Zost or Loser Ben. Ben Glaze says he's so nice. All right, so folks, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Rock 108, Metalhead Ned is on from 2 to 7. Check him out on the live stream. And God damn it, hear what he can do. You better not be shitty either, Ned. Okay, you've been at this a long time. You better be good at it. All right, where was I? So Greg goes on the air, and this is years ago, and he just rips Coleman a new asshole. He's talking about like a Dewey, and he's saying, yeah, your mommy fights your battles. You're using mommy's money, and just this weirdo attack on him. And that's because he's, Greg's picking a fight with the ex of his wife. For some reason, something's going on, and so he's going crazy. And then he starts ripping on Coleman's mother, who is a total hag, by the way. And I love her. I call her that to her face. And she was in the car, in fact, about a month ago. And fuckface Coleman put me on speaker. And I started talking about his ex-wife's titties. And I didn't know. He didn't say to me, because he's a cock, hey, you're on speaker. My wife and kids are in the car. Or not wife. My mother and the kids are in the car. He did not do that. So my first, hey, Coleman, how are you? Yeah. Doing good, guy. What's up? So I'm talking about mommy's titties, and the kids are right there. Oh, God. And so after a little bit, I hear, you're an idiot. I go, who the fuck is that? He goes, that's my mom. I go, there's people in the car? Yeah, man. I go, why did you fucking tell me? She goes, you're stupid. I go, fuck you. So anyway, the relationship started because after Greggy went crazy on these two, he doxed her and told the audience to call the office where she works and let her have it, because I guess she made some crack about gay people or something that Greg, she's a homophobe. I guess she fired off some gay crack. And so Greg sicks the audience on her. And she is she worked for one of the communities as part of the board. And so people are calling her and inundating her with all these attacks and shit. She's like, what the fuck? And she's like, what's going on? I called her. And then Alan says, then you doubled down and told the kids their mom has huge cans. No, she doesn't. I thought I saw her in the wild. So I took a picture of this chick, and I said, hey, is this her? And I said, I said, I don't think it's her, though, because I don't think that your ex-wife's got great cans. That's how that went. So I called up Coleman's mom. I left a message. She calls me back. And I go, yeah, I don't know you, but I think you and I hate the same guy. She goes, what are you talking about? So I give her the background. I go, yeah, he's a fucking asshole, and you got to hear what he said about you. So she's cool. So I sent it, and she goes, Yeah, that's bad, but I don't give a fuck. And he's like, she's like the type of chick, I've never seen her, but who would like light her farts on fire and like ride a Harley around and shit like that. So then she writes back and says, I appreciate you looking out. My son appreciates that too. That's Coleman. I go, oh, all right. Well, have him say hi. I'd love to talk to him. So I'm talking to him, and we hit it off right away. And he was an asshole yesterday with his partner in crime, Matt, who is Coleman's next door neighbor, who just checks in on the chat. And he says, so that's where Cole learned to light his farts. These two idiots. Oh my God. They were sitting on the porch at either Cole's or Matt's house last night. These two hicks just laying waste to the audience. These assaults. It was awesome. And I think they were bombed or stoned or something was going on. Maybe not. I don't think that the Coleman would ever do that. Maureen says that they were fun. Coleman said, hey, Easy's got the same haircut as Maureen. Ben Glay says it was the stars of the Ben and Eric podcast last night. My audience members on the Zoom are superstars. They are comedy and content in and of themselves. Outstanding. So that is how Coleman came into the fold. And so then one of Greg or his wife's minions reaches out to me on a sock account on Facebook and says, one line, stop talking to Coleman. Yeah, right. What the fuck? Are you fucking crazy? What is that supposed to mean? Or what? Hilljack. Probably one of those dumb fuck door motherfuckers, because that's where she's from. And you know what comes out of door. God damn. Holy shit. Then there's the story, speaking of which, you want to know something that's actually worth talking about? I've talked about this before, and I know this because I talked to Coleman. So I hear all this shit. There is a ton of shit that I hear that I don't talk about. Because if I do, well, it's slander. Second of all, it can affect things adversely for Coleman and other people that I don't want bad things to happen to. But this, I can talk about. I don't want to fuck this up, so I got to think it through here. One day, Coleman revealed to me that of the marital status of Greg's mother-in-law. And for those of you that have heard this, you're probably going to love that I'm telling this fucking story again. But here's the history. Greg's wife's mother, she met a nice man years ago, and they fell in love. And they got married, and they had a baby. That baby is Greg's wife, who was married to Coleman at some point in time. Okay, great. No surprises there. Well, eventually, things didn't work out for Greg's wife's mom and dad, and they went separate ways. That's very sad. Now, Coleman then informed me, and it got the response of, what? Greg's wife's mom found a new man and married him. And that man is the brother of her ex-husband. Fuck! What? Holy shit. Now that's fun. Now that is worth talking about. That is, I don't even need to make any jokes. I don't need to say anything bad. God damn. Okay. Open invitation. And my quest to get the other side on the air. If Greg's wife's dad, not stepdad, wants to be on this show, Eric at ericzaneshow.com. I need to talk to you, motherfucker. Now, I don't think technically there's anything wrong with that. I mean, there's no breaking of any laws or rules. It's just, ooh, that's painful. That is very, so that means that Greg's wife's uncle is her stepfather. Now, how pissed off do you think these people are going to be when this shit gets out? I'm going to have 8 million door hill fucks in the cul-de-sac. It's a goddamn thing that this is a gated community with a security patrol everywhere. Because these dumb fucks are going to get their pitchforks and their tiki torches and their fucking MAGA hats and show up here, and I'm going to have to whip out every fucking weapon in my arsenal. And there's going to be a goddamn cul-de-sac war. That's what's going to happen. I think one of these dogs just farted. All right, who's responsible? Oh, man. That one's got some staying power. Fuck me. If anybody has something as ridiculously retarded as that, would you please leave it here? I would love... You know what? Greg has turned into quite a bounty of content. I will say that. When people say, easy, you're getting content from this. I say, yeah, I am. It's tough to avoid. Ramon says, I am your father's brother's, nephew's, cousin's, former roommate. Well, what does that make us? Ramon watching on the YouTube channel, by the way. Ramon, do yourself a favor. Head over to twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live and follow the page. I'm probably going to hear from the Italian, who's my lawyer, saying, yeah, what's going on over there? Well, I don't know. I'm just talking about nuptials, man. I am talking about nuptials of one of West Michigan's great families. The mother did not have to change her last name. She kept the same last name. Now, I'm not judging. I'm pointing it out that it's holy fuck. You got to have some big fucking balls to do that. If everybody involved, you know who's the big loser I feel bad for? Is the dad. That poor son of a bitch. Because the fact that this happened, you still have the brother. And now there's no harmony in the family. Whoever decides. Fuck me. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Wow. I might have read this. Maureen definitely broke bro code. Ben says, awkward Thanksgiving. Yeah, I think that there has to. I was talking with Coleman about that. I go, well, how do these events? He goes, yeah, it takes a little bit of planning to make that happen. It's and I think the big winner is Coleman, where his dad might be. That's not great. But Coleman is the winner in this. He does not have to deal with this anymore. All right. Now, this concludes. It doesn't conclude. Greg brings his problems on himself. What Greg says about me becomes great content. What Greg says about his wife might bite him in the ass. When Greg does these things, it makes it easier for me to tell these things about him. The Hitman is here. Says good morning on either YouTube or Facebook. I think YouTube. Anyway, go to twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live. He makes things very difficult on him. And I have to, like I said, I have to be very careful when I talk about that scenario. These aren't public figures that are doing this. But it still happened. Shocking. Nick says, did she have kids with both of those men? You'd be spitting out cousin brothers. I don't think so. I think it was later on in life, like a lot later on. Let's see. Sorry, I just looked at a text. I'll get to it later. Hitman says, yeah, it was YouTube. Now I'm on Twitch. Attaboy or attagirl. Welcome. For those of you who get my show on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok, the full show on Twitch is at twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live, or download the Twitch app and search at Eric Zane Live. That's where I'm at. So check out the full show there, because I don't give you the full show on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok. I'm going to kick everybody out right about now. Clown of Carnage says, there was a time my grandparents tried to get me to date my cousin. Yes, I have a Hilljack family. All right. You can also follow me on Patreon. That's where a lot of content that I talk about happens. Like yesterday, we had a Big Fraud Wednesday with Who Are These Free Beers? And, of course, the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. Combined, we went about 2.5 hours between the two shows, and they're available right now for folks who are Tier 2. These are the people who paid $10 a month. We do them live, and then they stay there on demand. If you pay $5 a month, you get just the audio. I have posted the audio for Who Are These Free Beers already. I have not yet gotten the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast posted yet, but I will a little later on today. And there are now 58 episodes of Who Are These Free Beers. There's also the archive of Who Are These Zanes? The Insane Asylum, which is my old radio show that I did overnights on Northern Michigan's Q100. I no longer do that. I do the morning show there because they said, hey, how about you do this? I said, okay, sounds good. So that's all there on Patreon, not to mention the Lost Zane recordings and plenty more where that came from. $5 or $10 a month. It is supported only by your dollars and cents. Zero sponsors like I have here. And you can try it out for 7 days free. Go to patreon.com/Eric Zane. If you like the content here, you'll really like Patreon. And like I said, test drive it for 7 days. Man Bun Chris says, don't forget about the episodes of Stephen Kyle. We did have a few Stephen Kyles, but that proved to be the hardest show to clip. Not because there wasn't anything that was bad. It's just so bad. It's so difficult. And it rots my soul, frankly. That show is supposed to be shitty. Free Beer and Hot Wings is not supposed to be shitty, but it is. So there you go. Check that out. The 7 days free. You do have to put in a payment form with it, but just cancel that thing after you sign up, and you still get the 7 days guaranteed. That way I won't charge you at the end of it in case you don't want it. I don't want to inadvertently charge you. But if you do are like, hey, I do love this, I do want it, go back into your profile and re-enable your card, and I will charge you $5 a month or $10 a month. 5 is all audio, 10 is audio, video, live streams, Zoom participation for Ben and Eric, and first crack at brand new material. I even offer 10% off. So $60 for tier 1 for a year is $54. $120 for a year, tier 2 is $108. So if you're like, hey, I'm cash heavy, I can pay for the whole fucking year and save myself 10%. Email the show, eric@ericzaneshow.com, on the Shoreliners Striping inbox. Goodbye, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.